What will we do with this moment? How will we be remembered? Look at the opportunities before us.
This election really isn't about the left versus the right. It's about we the people choosing our government and the choice between freedom versus tyranny.
Nobody has a chronic disease burden like we have. Why are we allowing this to happen to our children? Ultimately, the only thing that will save our country is if we choose to love our kids more than we hate each other.
What is going on here is deeper than politics. It is deeply spiritual. We are being called to rise above the hatred and the fear and the evil.
We need to remember above and beyond that we must love our neighbors, that we must treat other people as we hope to be treated.
You want to be a rebel? You want to be a hippie? You want to stick it to the man? Show up on your college campus and try calling yourself a conservative.
America is going to reach heights that it has never seen before. The future is going to be amazing!
Do you want healthy children? Don't you want a president that's going to make America healthy again?
Come to you today as a former Democrat. I will be a first-time Trump voter tonight.
The people dreamed this country, and it's the people who are making America great again.
This is Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
I can't get this pardon thing out of my mind, these preemptive pardons or prospective pardons, and the corrupt Biden regime, the mobster that he, the family, and the whole cabal are. And so I want to go back and remind you folks why they might be just a little nervous. Why they might be just a little nervous. Why would they be nervous? After all, they were a law-abiding regime, right? They played by the numbers. They followed the rule of law. Everything they did was legit. Why are they worried? I'll tell you why they're worried. It's the most corrupt, evil administration, if not in American history, certainly one of them. Right out of the box, they went after Donald Trump. Right out of the box, they were talking about impeachment. I remember this in the media and the Democrat Party when he was coming down the damn elevator. Right out of the box. They go after him over Burisma. Why? Well, we know why. They had to cover up for the big guy, Mr. 10%. And so they impeached him over a perfectly legitimate phone call. Then, while he's out of office, they have another Senate impeachment trial over January 6th, another phony fraud effort to damage and destroy Donald Trump. But in the meantime, during 2.5 years of his presidency, they concocted the Russia collusion scandal. The scandal really is a scandal of Barack Obama, of Joe Biden, of James Comey, of the intel industry in Washington, D.C. Trump was set up from day one, set up by the Department of Justice, the FBI, the president, and the vice president, among others. And so they had a special counsel, so special, he had to mention, my humble opinion, the way the president did, that is Biden would later have. They have this long criminal investigation, subpoenas and leaks, congressional inquiries over and over to try and derail this president. They have subpoenas going out to the family over and over again. But there was no Russia collusion. It was all a lie. Oops, on to the next thing. But this was always the plan. The New York Times. Here we go. September 13, 2018. Democrats signing a majority, prepare an investigation onslaught from day one. Look at this. House Democrats, increasingly optimistic they will win back control in November, are mining a mountain of stymied oversight requests in preparation for an onslaught of hearings, subpoenas, investigations into nearly every corner of the Trump administration. That's just the first run-on sentence in the first paragraph of the New York Slimes. That would be the New York Times.
Good evening, everybody. Well, let me tell you how this Tonight Show came about. I was looking at Trump, True Social, to see if there were any new appointments, and my voice holds up, and I saw them. So let's go ahead and look at the new appointments first. Trump has made 2 appointments. One of them, I feel, is very significant. So I'm hoping my voice gets through this. Okay, so the first one. I am pleased to announce that Mark Paoletta will be returning as General Counsel of the Office of Management and Budget, OMB. Mark will work closely with our DOGE team to cut the size of our bloated government bureaucracy and root out wasteful and anti-American spending. Mark is a brilliant and tenacious lawyer who worked tirelessly to advance my agenda in the first term. Pretty much says he's brought another guy back into the fold. Loyalty. He keeps bringing people he's worked with, familiar with, back into the fold. It says, as OMBGC in my first administration, Mark led the charge to identify funding to build the southern border wall. And work with then OMB Director Russ Vought, who he already renamed, to rein in the woke, weaponized government spending. Mark is a partner at the law firm Share Jaff and a senior fellow at the Center for Renewing America, where he has worked alongside Russ. Mark has served as chief counsel for oversight and investigations in Congress for a decade and was a key lawyer in the White House counsel's office to confirm Justice Clarence Thomas to the United States Supreme Court in 1991. So if this guy worked to get Clarence Thomas confirmed in 1991, he's been around for quite some time. Good pick. Let's go to the next one. And I love this one. You guys may know who she is. Harmeet Dillon. I am pleased to nominate Harmeet Dillon as Assistant Attorney General for Civil Rights at the U.S. Department of Justice. I love this pick. If you guys don't know who Harmeet Dillon is, she is a firebrand. She is always in the fight, and putting her as an Assistant Attorney General to Pam Bondi just makes that office even stronger. It says throughout her career, Harmeet has stood up consistently to protect our cherished civil liberties, including taking on big tech for censoring our free speech, representing Christians who were prevented from praying together during the jabademic, and suing corporations who use woke policies to discriminate against their workers. Harmeet is one of the top election lawyers in the country, fighting to ensure that all and only legal votes are counted. She's a graduate of Dartmouth and the University of Virginia Law School, and she also clerked in U.S. Fourth Circuit of Appeals. So she is big. I am so happy to see Harmeet Dillon in the Attorney General's office. Pam Bondi now has, and she's beginning to build out quite the team. These people will be formidable in doing whatever they need to do to protect America's interest. Some of y'all might want to lawyer up. You know who I'm talking about. But what led me to tonight's show? Well, I happened to see this. And Trump doesn't ordinarily put this kind of stuff out. He wrote, Mark Levin's show is amazing tonight. Everybody must watch it. It will be rebroadcast at midnight. So he watched it last night. And he posted it out there. And he said, hey, y'all need to watch this. So, of course, if the boss says watch it, I watched it. And then I realized Fox sticks Mark Levin on at 8 p.m. on a Sunday or 8 p.m. on a Saturday, excuse me, and then midnight again on Sunday night. And I'm like, I bet you a lot of people didn't get to see this. It's really important because it's not just Mark Levin, he also talks to Jonathan Turley. And he explains in detail what's going on with all this BS pardon stuff that they're trying to get Biden, to do for all these people. So I thought it might be a worthy show to bring to you guys so that we could watch this kind of together, react to it, listen to what this man says. One of the preeminent people I listen to in law, well, actually, both of them are on this show tonight. I mean, they're not interviewing with me. I'm talking about these cuts. Mark Levin and Jonathan Turley, I firmly believe they are extremely credible. I often wondered why Mark Levin didn't go into the administration, but, he may have his reasons. And Jonathan Turley is a professor at George Washington University. He's also a Fox contributor as well. So let's listen to Mark describe what's going on.
The Oversight Committee had 50 subpoena requests ready to go. The Intelligence Committee, they were going to look into that Russia collusion. The Judiciary Committee, Trump's business profits, they were all set. What else? Continuing investigation of potential campaign violations, and the list went on and on and on. And it ensnared him, his family, his staff, his friends. Took an enormous amount of time, and that was the goal. And then later, there was the corrupt January 6th committee. Every member chosen by Pelosi, including the reprobate Republicans. A Soviet-style staged show trial. Cherry-picked witnesses who were coached. That is, witness tampering. The withholding of...
I wanted to make sure, as he's going through this, that you guys all remember this. I love how he goes back, he sets the stage and goes, okay, here's what happened. I'm not sure if you remembered what he just said. Nancy Pelosi, and to understand how this January 6th committee was complete BS, there were no actual Republicans on the January 6th committee. Nancy Pelosi handpicked every single person, and she picked Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger to be the Republicans on the committee. So essentially it was all Democrats, or all Democrats and 2 Republicans that hated Trump. There was no bias. I mean, it was so biased that he didn't stand a chance. Those people didn't stand a chance. In addition to all the stuff that they did, she stacked the deck against everybody.
Disfavored testimony and information while promoting self-serving information and testimony. The usual leaks to a slobbering media pushing the January 6th committee's narrative, and the mass destruction of enormous amounts of documentary information and electronic evidence as well, we later found out, weeks before the Republicans took back the majority in the House of Representatives. To do what? Well, why do you destroy massive amounts of information? It's a cover-up. It's obstruction. It's a cover-up. And yet, apparently, Congress is able to do these sorts of things. Nonetheless, the committee recommended, before it went out the back door, charging Donald Trump with obstruction of an official proceeding, conspiracy to defraud the United States, conspiracy to make a false statement, attempts to incite, assist, or aid, or comfort an insurrection. The committee held Steve Bannon and Peter Navarro in contempt, who were then prosecuted by the Biden regime and sent to federal prison. Oh, but the good stuff was yet to come. Donald Trump leaves office. But they want to put the dagger in the heart. They're afraid that he may decide to run for president again. What shall we do about it? Well, look at this. Look at this. Falsifying business records. New York Supreme Court. This would be Juan Merchan and Alvin Bragg. Sacco and Vanzetti, the legal community, in my humble opinion. March 30, 2023, 34 indictments, just in time to try and interfere with the Republican primary process, certainly the general election, a complete setup done in order to interfere with the election. Soon to follow, June 8, 2023, the feds jump in, the so-called documents case, and they dust off the Presidential Records Act, the Espionage Act, from 1917, used by Woodrow Wilson to imprison at least 2,200 political opponents, including Eugene Debs, who was running against him on the Socialist Party, and he still ran from prison. So they figure, we'll get Donald Trump. That was followed up by, in my view, an unconstitutional general warrant, a horrendous SWAT team invasion of Donald Trump's home at Mar-a-Lago, going through their personal property and their drawers, including the former First Ladies. It was a...
You know, one of the things that really pissed me off about the whole Mar-a-Lago raid was the way they showed up. It was almost like a swatting. You're telling me the former president of the United States, you had to send all these cops armed to the hilt, pointing weapons to go into Mar-a-Lago, as if you expected to get some sort of armed resistance? Or were you hoping somebody might move too quick and then you could do what you need to do? I'm telling you, people down here in South Florida were freaking. They're like, there's no way they did that. Yeah, they did it. And so when they're talking these days, as Mark has just summarized just a small part of what they did, it seems incredulous to people who actually have a functioning frontal lobe that you would keep saying, oh, Trump just wants to go after his political opponents. You see, that was 2022. That was almost 3 years ago. Well, not 3 years ago, but 2 years ago in a couple months. In our news cycle, as things go, most people forgot that a lot of this stuff happens. So I love how he starts stacking all the different things they did. And what he mentioned, I wanted to jump in there, when he mentioned the special counsel, who was probably as demented as Joe was, he was referring to Robert Mueller. You remember, Mueller's coming. Oh man, Mueller's coming. And then when Mueller got on stage at the panel and had to testify, everybody, I remember people watching going, this dude can't spell his own name. It was a complete setup. Obviously, he had to come and present his evidence, and he couldn't even read it. So you knew at that point it was a complete setup. Andrew Weissman and all these other people were doing everything. They were the ones who had put all this together and just kept rubber stamping Robert Mueller's name. Robert Mueller was completely incapacitated. And they did this over and over and over again. And they expect now Trump to lay down and go, hey man, don't go after your political opponents.
Grotesque act that was utterly and completely unnecessary. But all the legal pundits, including many here, this is a slam dunk case. Think to myself, have these people ever litigated a slam dunk case? We have motions and other things that are going to be dealt with. So we stood here on Life, Liberty, and Levin and said, it's no slam dunk case. This is an outrageous case. But nonetheless, only 40 charges by the unconstitutional prosecutor, Jack Smith. And then we have the effort to overturn an election. You know, you're allowed to challenge an election. If you challenge it and you win, you've actually overturned what they claim to be an election. That is not a crime. We have never criminalized before challenges to election. We've never criminalized second slates set in. We've never criticized or criminalized efforts to influence a Secretary of State or a Speaker of the House. This goes on all the time. But we decided we were going to criminalize it, we being they, the Biden regime. So what did they do? August 1st, 2023, less than 2 months after the first federal grouping of indictments, 4 more charges. This time, the Ku Klux Klan Act of 1871. Oh, that's very relevant. Oh, and even more. The Obstruction Act passed to deal with Enron-type activities. The Supreme Court has since held that that doesn't apply, but they used it. They needed something. Hey, we'll grab this.
Yeah, as he's talking about this stuff, it's so important because not many people have laid this out. They used the Ku Klux Klan Act of 1871. They used this, they used that to try and create something out of nothing. And yet you're telling Trump, you shouldn't be going after your political opponents. If this was such a slam dunk case, you wouldn't have to be using laws like you tried to use against Trump. You had to manufacture something. And then they obviously had to go from state to state to state to try and stack all these things all together. The bottom line with all this is they pretty much figured, A, they would keep him in court and he couldn't campaign. B, it would piss off so many people they wouldn't vote for him. And C, they were hoping to put him in jail basically for the rest of his life. I mean, at a 78 or 79 years old, they give the guy a 10-year sentence, he's gone. Remember, they were touring Rikers, trying to figure out how they were going to get Trump, safely in jail. All of this was going on in the middle of a campaign. But don't go after your political opponents. That would be awful.
And they use that on 2 charges. And of course, a federal contractor, a law for federal contractors who violate their contracts and are kind of putting money in their pockets, they dusted that one off too. No insurrection. Wow. Imagine that. 4 charges there, but they had a great judge. They had an Obama judge, Tanya Chutkan, who did virtually every single thing the Biden regime wanted her to do. Then we have the Atlanta case, and keep in mind, none of these are connected. No. Just because Fani Willis's lover went to the White House twice and met with somebody in White House counsel's office, and he couldn't remember what they met. There's so much to remember. I'm so busy. How do I remember what I spoke to the White House counsel's office on 2 occasions when I bothered to take a trip to Washington, D.C.? Very bad memory over there at the White House. Racketeering to overturn the 2020 U.S. presidential election, Fulton County. Wow. There we have another 8 charges. So we have 88 charges, 90, 93 charges against Donald Trump in 4 different jurisdictions. But
think about that. 90 charges. 90 in 4 different jurisdictions. They realize at this point, one of these has got to work. There's no way he can beat all of this. And as you know, as of today, he did. And I'm pretty sure the Fani Willis thing is about to be the next thing that goes down the toilet. Every single thing they did. Not 1 charge. 90-something charges across the country. And yet they keep saying, don't go after your political opponent. They think you're stupid. Not you. They think the American public is stupid. They don't think the American public will remember any of this. That's the only thing they could possibly be counting on. They have to be counting on at this point that you all got amnesia. That it doesn't matter. Let bygones be bygones. Let's move on. Nothing to see here, folks. Now, if you could use that many laws, and just think about this for a second. If you could use that many laws, as obscure as they are, to come after Trump, what could you use to go after, if you wanted to, Joe Biden? See, personally, I know it's going to upset some of you. I don't think he should even look at charging Joe Biden. Why? Because Joe Biden is what he is. He's a husk. There's nothing there. It would be elder abuse in my mind. But what I would do is go after, well, I shouldn't use the word go after. I would see what kind of fire is under the smoke of all these different things. If they use the exact same charges and started looking at some of these people, it is going to get so deep. You see, they only went after Trump, Navarro, Steve Bannon, and a handful of other people who flipped. But even in flipping, they didn't get anything from people. I shouldn't say flip. They went ahead and took the charges. They didn't flip. They didn't say anything. I got nothing for you. You want to lock me up for 4 months? Fine. I'll do the time. They did the opposite of flip. How many of these people in the Democrat Party are prepared to do the same? Because when they start lining them up one by one and saying, okay, you got a pardon. That pardon covers this, and this. But and Mark's going to talk about this with Jonathan Turley, so I might be getting ahead of myself here. But understand, if you accept a pardon, you can no longer take the Fifth Amendment. You have to blab. And so as these prosecutors understand that and say, okay, you've got immunity. You got the pardon. Now you can't say no to basically any question I'm going to ask you. That's why, and the reason why I brought this up is that's why they're talking big time blanket pardons to thousands of people. Because they know when you pardon Fred and you start asking Fred questions, hey Fred, so when you signed this document, who did you hand it to? When you did this, who else was in the room? And a good prosecutor is going to get from this one person who no longer can be prosecuted, they're going to squeeze him for a bunch more people. Just keep squeezing them. They're going to do depositions for days at a time. Oh, we're going to find out so much stuff. How deep does this go? I think the problem with the Biden administration at this point, I don't know if they remember. How are they going to know who knows what? Have you thought about that? Think about it. We're talking a vast amount of people. And that's why people like Jennifer Rubin and other people are talking about blanket pardons. Whole lots of people, categorical pardons. So you're just going to start dishing them out like this because they have to. They're not saying this on television because they're trying to be cute. They're realizing, oh man, this is really deep. This grasp that. How deep this must go. They just went after Trump. But now in order to go after Trump, all these people had to be involved in this giant, enormous prosecution over 4 different jurisdictions. And now you can't lie if you get one of those pieces of paper. Whew. This could get ugly very, very quickly. I mean, it's you either need to leave the country, go to a country with no extradition, or just turn state's evidence, because it's going to get very, very bad. I've been telling you, I don't know how the Democrats win another election anytime soon. Because there's going to be so much that we can now begin to look into. Oh, we can look into what you did with Trump. We can look at what you did in 2020. We can look at what you did for the J6ers. We can look at where all this money has gone to Ukraine and everywhere else. That's a lot of frickin' money. $2 trillion alone that the military can't account for. How do you not know? How do you not know where $2 trillion went? They want to go after you if you get $600 in your Venmo account. And they can't find $2 trillion. What? How many people had to sign off of $2 trillion moving someplace? How many? How many signatures? How many bankers? That money had to be moved somewhere. If it was in one location, it then ends up going someplace else before it gets dispersed in 100 different areas. Somebody has to know. Now, I don't know if you know this happened tonight, but Joni Ernst, she had a mea culpa, and she has decided she is going to support Pete Hegseth. Wow, interesting. You're on the oversight board for the military spending, and we can't find $2 trillion, and someone may have talked to you and said, Joni, you're worried about Pete? Where's this $2 trillion? And so this is what happened earlier this evening. Joni Ernst is supporting Pete Hegseth. You all made it happen. And I was talking to every single one of you that had an X account or a telephone where you called the office. This is a statement. U.S. Senator Joni Ernst, a member of the Senate Armed Services Committee and a combat veteran, issued the following statement. I appreciate Pete Hegseth's responsiveness and respect for the process. Following our encouraging conversations, Pete committed to completing a full audit of the Pentagon. and selecting a senior official who will uphold the roles and value of our servicemen and control based on quality standards, not quotas, and who will prioritize and strengthen my work to prevent SA within the ranks. As you guys can't see it, as I support Pete through this process, I look forward to a fair hearing based on truth, not anonymous sources. Interesting. Pete committed, not you, Pete committed to completing a full audit of the Pentagon and selecting a senior official who will uphold the roles and value of our servicemen and women. So Joni Hurst comes into the fold now. This woman who's been, worried about the audits of the Pentagon now is like, okay, we'll support you. Something behind the scenes really big is going on. I don't know who's making the calls. I don't know what they're saying, but now I'm seeing stuff like, Tom Cotton coming out and going, yep, all his nominees are going to be confirmed. Really? All of a sudden, all these people are going to get confirmed. Yes. Great. I was born, but not yesterday. Something is happening. You guys can see it begin. John Cornyn. Oh, no, I'm not voting for Pete Hegseth. No, hey, I'm voting for Pete Hegseth. Yeah, okay. Something is happening. I don't know how it's happening, but it is most certainly happening. You're right, Jane. Yep, something is just so long as she's not, it didn't go to the military. Yeah, where's that money? Where's that money? Someone's going to have to fess up. These government officials are freaking out. Yep. The rhinos are starting to get on board because they're taking heat from their constituents. And that would be you guys who are making those phone calls and hitting her up and everything else. Let me see what we got here. I'm looking for some more. They are shaking in their boots. Absolutely. So if Kash Patel, who I've already heard he's getting in, and that means Pam Bondi's going to sail in, and Harmeet Dillon is now going to be in the Attorney General's office. This is about to get really good. Start looking for people to cut deals. Wow, very, very crazy. Alex Jones thinks that they're still going to try and take Trump out before inauguration, before he gets in. Yeah, they may try a lot of different things. Ratting on rats. A lot of that going to be going on. Everybody's going to want to have a seat when the music stops. And I wouldn't want to be that person out. They are listening to MAGA. I think you guys realize you have a very, very, very strong voice. Don't let any of these people in the media let you believe or get you to think that your voice and power isn't going to work. You came out 77 million strong. You're getting on X. You're getting in the game. You're starting to, I see it. I see so many people out there posting stuff. People I've never seen posting stuff and CCing me. I'm like, you go. Start here. Talk to 2 people, then 4, then 8, then exponentially you will continue to grow. And that's what we need because he got elected now. Get your feet under you. Get your following, get your voice, so that you're ready for 2026. I always keep saying, notice, I say it a lot, and I'm like, the Democrats don't have a bench. They're not doing anything. They're not getting ready for 2026. Don't be them. That's why I keep pushing you. Get on X. Do whatever you need to do. Start building a following. Build an audience. Start talking to people. And then come 2026, 2 years from now, who knows? You may have 5,000 people following you. And then by 2028, you may have 10,000 people following you. And now you are indeed a part of the media. I think we have the opportunity as a group, MAGA. I think we have an opportunity to choke out the media forever, the traditional media. I think together and my whole thing is what I've been trying to do is nurture an army. I know Dan Bongino calls his the Dan Bongino Army. Well, we'll call ours the Fanfare Fanatics. Just get in there. Start mixing it up. Start doing everything you can. Support all the way down the dog catcher in your local area. Find out who the dog catcher is wherever you live. Start hitting them up. School boards. People in business in your local city. Realtors, everybody, find out who the influencers are who are in your hometown. You may be the influencer in your hometown. Start now. Every single one of you should be right now hitting up everybody on a school board. The school board, wherever you live, should be hearing from you. And because you live there, you can also show up at the meetings. No excuses. None. Don't give yourself any excuses. Don't take any excuses. I know some of these hearings are boring, but at least go and once in a while show your face. Let people know, yeah, I'm here. Yeah, I live at 123 Smith Street, and I want you to know I'm here. I'm watching you, and everything you say, I'm going to let people know. You see, they've done everything they've done under the cover of darkness and silence. And I just feel it's our responsibility because no one's going to do this but you and your friends and your family members. I can't tell you how many city council meetings I've been to in my life. Most because I needed zoning approval for a property, or I needed a variance because of something I was doing in entertainment and it was too loud to put the concert in a certain place. And I realized there are literally 5, 6, or 7 people up there who control what happens where you live. And I just went, wait a second, that's it? Those are the people? They're going to vote and tell me what I can and can't do? Oh, I need to know everything about them. I need to know where their kids go to school. I need to know how much money they make. I need to know what they're driving, how often they get a new car, how they got that new car. Oh yeah, I went that deep. And I started watching every single one of them. You want to run for office? You're in the public eye. I need to know what you're doing. If I saw you in a restaurant, I'm watching. Who you sitting with? What's going on? And that was before we got into the electronic age. So now, every single one of you needs to become a warrior, not just for Trump at this point. MAGA at the federal level, we seem pretty good. But I don't know anything about your town. There's no way I'm going to know about your town. Only you and your friends are going to know what's happening on Main Street. Did so-and-so get a permit for that? Did so-and-so get denied? What's going on in the library? What books are in there? Have you walked in one? Many of us don't have kids anymore at that age. And so because I don't have, Ashley's a grown woman with her own kids, my grandkids. I don't know what's going on in the library here where I live. First time I set foot in the library here where I live was when Robin and I had to go vote. I'm like, oh, this is pretty cool. Nice library. Looks great here. Brand new. Didn't know who sits on the board. Now I realize, man, I'm talking to these people every single night. I got to step up my game. I got to make sure every single one of these people knows who the hell Barry Cunningham is. Please, on your local level, you do the same. Was that you outside my window last night? Public information. I'm serious, man. Start digging. I didn't mean to go off on a soapbox there, but I really want to encourage you to begin becoming a warrior at your local level. You will not believe how much you can get done just being a warrior right where you live. Just get in there. Look up the Book of Thomas, get back with me. Not really sure what that means. Our little town happens to be J.D. Vance's hometown. It's so democratic. It's awful. Find out why. Find out why. Make it change. They count on you being silent and not showing up. If you haven't been to one of these city council or school board meetings, you're going to be shocked. You're like, there's nobody here. Y'all just do whatever you want. Yeah. Everybody say, hey, we're going to give ourselves raises. Hold up, Charlie. I don't want to raise my taxes in my area. I don't want to pay more real estate taxes. Nope, that ain't happening. And I don't want you building this, and I don't want you to start talking. I know I talk too much sometimes. But anyway, that's just what I want to tell you. All right, continue.
Not to be outdone, September 2022, a little earlier, Letitia James, she's obsessed with Donald Trump. Obsessed. You know, a lot of times you would need to get a court order to stop somebody like that, hanging around, you know, chasing you, focused on you. But that's Letitia. And what does she do? She had another clown for a judge. And so they kind of teamed up and worked together to try and steal Donald Trump's money, his properties, and anything else they could. It's amazing. There's another statute with a statute of limitation that really doesn't apply. We have a statute with a statute of limitations that didn't apply in the Mershon Bragg case. We had 3 charges against Trump in Washington, D.C., on charges that are preposterous. And then we have the Presidential Records Act and the Espionage Act, never used against a former president, but this time we're going to use it against him. Send the SWAT team in, get what we need to get. Wow. Wow. So Donald Trump's very freedom was at stake. And if we hadn't won this election, they'd still be pursuing him, trying to put him in federal prison. Think about this.
Hey, I'm sorry to bother you again, Mark. Sorry to interrupt. But I had to speak up about that whole thing with Tisha James and everything she did, trying to basically steal Mar-a-Lago. Remember, again, they hope you don't. They hope you forget. These people tried to say that Mar-a-Lago was worth $18 million. And I remember making a video a long time ago, months ago, and trying to tell people they are so full of it. It's amazing. So I just wanted to just take and show you 2 listings. 2, okay? In these 2 listings, let me go ahead and pull this up so you guys can see how idiotic they were. Here's a listing. It's in Palm Beach, 1460 North Lake Way. It's available for the bargain price of $95 million. Y'all see the number there? $95 million. It's got 6 bedrooms and 9 bathrooms, and it's almost 16,000 square feet. They want $95 million for that. Okay. And then here's another one on Ocean Boulevard. This one's a little bit smaller of a house. It's quaint, as they would say in a real estate agency. $45 million. And it's a 6-bedroom, 9-bath house with, about 13,000 square feet. So I just showed you a $45 million house with 6 bedrooms and 9 baths, 13,000 square feet, and for $45 million. The other one's $90 million. Mar-a-Lago is about, 6 times the size of both of those properties. Not even close in terms of what the value is on that property. Let me just show you. Remember, that was a 6-bedroom, 9-bath house, right? 13,000 square feet. They want $90 million. Okay. Well, let me see if I can't just bring this up for you, because I just, we in the real estate business call these comparables, and we try to show people comparable properties and in terms of what things are. Just so you know, you can look at this. Mar-a-Lago is a resort National Historic Landmark. It has 126 rooms, 62,000 square feet. 62,000. I know you don't have to be like a mathematical genius. And 126 rooms. 13,000 square feet, 62,000 square feet. So it's 5 times just the house, never mind the grounds. And you want to value it at $18 million. But Barry, it's not a home, it's a club. Seriously? I only bring this up because people forget. They forget the complete ludicrousness, if that's a word, of what that judge tried to do in telling people that Mar-a-Lago is only worth $18 million. It's absurd what they tried to do to this man. It wasn't even fair. Hey, listen, if you're going to steal my property, at least go ahead and, give me the $1 billion it's worth. No, it's only worth $18 million. So you devalued it by basically 100. They tried to steal everything from this man, including his freedom.
They were stealing his finances, his private property. They were attacking his family with hundreds of subpoenas and testimony. And the SWAT teams, the militarization of the FBI, the same FBI that went after Trump before. So now we're told, my goodness, might there be retribution? Excuse me? Yes. Donald Trump's against democracy. We here, we're all for democracy. We're for elections, let the majority win. Oh, we got to tone it down. Excuse me, you unleashed holy hell. The FBI, the CIA, federal prosecutors, the entire Department of Justice, local prosecutors, local courts. You did everything, criminally, civilly, impeachment, special counsels. You threw everything, more than the kitchen sink. You threw the whole damn toilet bowl. You threw everything you had. And now Donald Trump won because the American people said, not only do we find him not guilty, we find you guilty.
I love that. That is so true. Forget him. It's you people we want out of here. That's why I was trying to underscore everything by saying how much power you now have as an individual. I saw this comment. I wanted to post this too. It says, Barry, that's how emboldened they were. They thought they had us in full collapse. They were going to destroy the titular head. They were going to take Trump out, and then all of us would just crumble. We would all just collapse. We would have nothing. We would be loyal subjects where they would do anything they wanted to us. But like Mark's adding all this stuff up, seriously? And you're worried about him going after his political opponents? At this point, I would venture to say, if this was a court, that he's justified in going after his political opponents. But we're not talking about normal vengeance here. You see, people would scream if Trump was taking out his vengeance without there being substance beneath it. So now this is where I believe it's going to get really good. You guys made stuff up. You just trumped up, no pun intended, you trumped up charges, did what you could, everything you he's not going to have to do that. Just a little pullback, just a little bit of the, orange skin. Just pull that skin back and it's like, oh, look at all this here. How do we know this? We know it because that's what started all this. We go all the way back to Joe Biden sitting there with his legs crossed laughing. If you don't fire the prosecutor, you ain't getting $1 billion. And then, what do you know? An hour later, son of a gun, they fired the prosecutor. And that's where Trump got in trouble. Hey man, what's this all about? That sounds like a quid pro quo. That sounds like, hey, there's something wrong here. You see, the mess up that the Biden administration did, or actually Joe Biden, the big, the crucial mistake that they did was let people know, oh, there's a problem there. There's something in Ukraine that we need to go look at. There's something there. I think every one of you people know that. There's something really wrong with what's going on in Ukraine. You basically tried to crucify Trump for asking. Remember, that's how it started. Hey, it was a perfect phone call. No. You can't even ask those questions, bro. You asked that question, so because you even asked, we're going to have to, throw the wrath of Satan after you. Because it wasn't godly. Just because he asked one question. Hey, can you look into this and tell me what you see? And then all hell broke loose. So if he asked one question about one aspect and all hell broke loose, number one, that tells me there's your honeypot. There's a whole nest in here that's bad. You're going to find a whole bunch of stuff. And then you've also told us and indicated there are other things that we need to look at, like $2 trillion missing. How is nobody in jail when $2 trillion goes missing? Nobody? Nobody's even been investigated? Of course. You don't need to go after your political opponents. You just, as an attorney general, go, I need to find out where this money is. You owe me. And what happens when she starts looking for this $2 trillion? So understand, this has nothing to do with political opponents. This has everything to do with political crooks. And every door, behind every door, there's another crook who's done something. There's a reason why Obama is sitting down a castle up in Cape Cod right now. That dude didn't have any money. He barely got through college, if he even graduated. Oh, by the way, nobody's ever said that, right? Couldn't get his records. How come nobody that went to school with Obama remembers him being in school? Oh, don't ask. Oh, okay. How is Nancy Pelosi worth $250 million? She never worked a day in her life. Nobody's ever asked. You see, those are the problems that they're facing right now. You don't have to go after your political opponents. You just ask simple questions. Hey, Nancy, can you come on in here and bring your books, please? We got some questions. That's all you have to do. And Nancy can and complain all she wants, but hey, listen, something doesn't add up here. You make $200,000 a year. You've been there 30 years. That's a total of $6 million if you didn't spend anything. How the hell do you have $250 million net? And then just go down the line. You don't have to go to your political opponents. You just have to be willing to ask the questions. And these are questions that neither side, Republican or Democrat, have asked anybody. Have you wondered why that is? Why has it that none of this has been asked? How badly did they want Donald Trump's tax returns? Oh my gosh, we heard that over and over and over. Donald Trump's tax returns, Donald Trump's tax returns. Rachel Maddow had a special. Oh, I got Donald Trump's tax returns. You got Hillary Clinton's? You got Bill Clinton? The Obamas? You never even asked? Republicans, you never even asked for this stuff? None? Why? Why have there been no questions? Again, this isn't about political opponent revenge. It's just answering simple questions. Hey, listen, I'm going to need you to come in here because I've got some questions. IRS, you need 87,000 additional agents? Yeah. But you haven't investigated any of these people in Congress? Why not? Why haven't you looked at Pocahontas? She had nothing. She was a real estate investor, and now she's worth millions? AOC? Millions? Seriously? Are none of... I don't mean to be redundant. I'm sorry. I get on these threads. It's stuff I've held in for so long, and I'm thinking to myself, it's just the questions you need to ask that are going to expose so much. And if somebody is willing to ask the questions, these people are going to fold like cheap suits all over the place. Follow the money. You don't make enough. You know if it was you. You know if you made $100,000, $200,000 a year, but you're sitting on a $10 million nest egg, people are going like, wait, where'd you get the money? Where did you get the money for all this stuff? Just ask the question.
And we've had damn near about enough of this. The whole thing blew up in their faces. And now they're worried about Kash Patel is the nominee for the FBI. Kash Patel may have an enemies list. Kash Patel wrote about going after people who conducted themselves in certain ways. We can't have an FBI director. Excuse me, we just did. We just had an FBI director targeting people. We had senior FBI officials targeting people, leaking to the media, then lying about it, planning false stories. We had it going on in our intelligence agencies. We had it coming out of the White House. Every pore of the federal bureaucracy it was coming out of. Now, Trump's not even sworn in yet. He hasn't even gotten his nominees confirmed. And Trump, we need preemptive pardons, prospective pardons. What the hell is that? Well, Richard Nixon, Gerald Ford used it to protect Richard Nixon. I would say that's like a one-off. President Nixon resigned, and Gerald Ford said, you know what? Let's bring the country together. I don't want to be president overseeing charges brought against Richard Nixon. None never were, by the way. Charges brought against Richard Nixon. And so he gives him one of these pardons. And, of course, Jimmy Carter gave such a pardon to draft dodgers. And way back when, George Washington gave it to a group of people who he thought were, sort of militia and so forth. Those are the three cases they point to. No, but when we read about what Joe Biden and his staff are thinking about in Politico and other phony news sites that regurgitate and slobber all over the Biden regime and the Democrat Party, that's not what they're planning. They're not planning on uniting the country. They're not looking at draft dodgers or people. No, we need to give preemptive pardons to individuals who stood with us. Whether they be Republicans, or at least so-called Republicans, like Liz Cheney, or they be Democrats, we need to protect these people from Donald Trump. Well, what would Donald Trump do to them? Well, Donald Trump and Kash Patel might do to them what we did. What we did to Trump and Bannon and Navarro and Manafort and Stone, to Trump's family, to Trump's businesses. We can't have Trump and his people doing to us what we did to them. Can we?
No, they can't. Because that was a small group of people. Navarro, Bannon, and some of these people. That was just a small group. These people weren't in government. See, there's not much that Steve Bannon could have, come up with. Not much that Peter Navarro could have been looked at. We got a whole group of people here. A whole bunch of them. Some of them been there for 10, 15, 20 years. They don't have the ability to cover up all the crap that they've done. So I'm going to ask you a question, and I'd love to hear what your answers are in the chat here. You ready for this question? I told you I got directed to this show that Mark Levin did because Trump posted it. Trump said, you need to go watch Mark Levin tonight. Quote, it's amazing. End quote. Thus far, as we're about an hour in, actually, in his show, the timing is different, but we're about an hour into my show here. So I'm going to ask you, from what you've seen, why did Trump want people to go see this? See, I'm just telling you what the man said. Let me see if I can bring it up again so you can see it yourself, because this is what he posted, and I showed you this at the beginning. Mark Levin's show is, big letters, amazing. Everybody must watch it. Incredible. All right, so from what you've seen thus far, why did Trump want people to see that? And then the second question is, why did he want other people to see that he said, go watch this show? Move after move, counter moves. Hey, go watch this show. I'm going to tell my supporters. And then by doing so, these other people are going to see what I told them to go look at. Move, counter move, chess move. Go watch this. You know what I'm doing here, right? There's a reason why he told people to go watch this show tonight. Okay, so let me be the first one to proffer up my explanation. I think he was telling people to go watch Mark Levin because he was letting people know, again, just like with the Kristen Welker interview, where I told you, basically he was telling the media, you're irrelevant, I'm coming, there's nothing you can do to stop me. I think that's what he meant here too. I think he was letting people know, in no uncertain terms, here's everything you've done to me. And he let Mark lay it out. Mark laid it out like he was a prosecuting attorney. You did this, 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 over this many years in this many jurisdictions. And you failed. Yet, now you expect him to sit back and go, nah, I don't want to do it. I don't want to come after these people. And Mark is basically saying, yeah, you deserve it. It's called, I love when somebody goes, it's called the weave, Barry. It's the weave. Yeah. Ooh, very nice, Patty. Nessun Dorma. Exactly. Because when you lay it all out the way Mark Levin is doing, you cannot deny the truth of what they did to him. Exactly. When people say the truth prevails, this is it. I agree with your take, Barry. Yeah, he wants people to know, in no uncertain terms, yeah, I'm coming for you. I can't say it because, it would be problematic for me as a president to say I'm, coming after you. But the people I've put in place who know that there's fire under this smoke, and you get a guy like Mark Levin who's laying it all out there, oh yeah, I'm coming. Let's continue.
And by the way, these are the same people that said if Donald Trump is elected, we're going to have a dictatorship. Does it sound like we're going to have a dictatorship under Donald Trump? Doesn't it sound more like we have an ongoing dictatorship with Joe Biden? Let me give you my take on this. This Biden regime has done more to destroy the rule of law and our constitutional order, aimed against political opponents, most prominently, of course, Donald Trump, and for the empowerment of the Democrat Party and the empowerment of Joe Biden than any past administration I can think of. And they're not done. These phrases, preemptive pardons or prospective pardons, corrupt the language as they corrupt the law. For example, imagine the following. A president pardons himself, not just for past or present federal offenses or possible federal offenses, for any and all possible future federal offenses, because that's what Biden's talking about, like he did with his son, to cover his own corrupt hookus. Just think about this. Then the president has effectively immunized himself from all criminal exposure of any kind, including personal, and including when he leaves office. Now, I'm completely confounded. I thought the Biden regime, the Democrats, their media, and their academics, and the three musketeers on the Supreme Court, the leftists, were very upset that the court ruled that a president has limited immunity relating to his official acts, but not for purely personal acts. Oh, my God. Then Trump's above the law. He can go out and order the murder of somebody, according to Sotomayor. Not the brightest of the bulbs in the chandelier, may I say. But what is being discussed by the Biden regime is the possibility that truly a president could indeed, with his own signature, immunize himself from all federal offenses into the future, including when he's no longer president, and certainly private offenses. What would stop him? The Supreme Court? Maybe. But the pardon power is as general as it gets. There's some Supreme Court decisions that seek to trim it, but not in a significant way. The court would have to come up with its own test and rationale, not one that currently exists in the law, in an attempt to draw lines and create limits where none exist. Or imagine a president handing out such pardons for all his family members, just in case. His friends, his administration officials, his donors, his political allies, party members, and to some extent, that's what we're reading in the media, or a large number of cronies. What then? Again, what would be the limiting factors once this tyranny is unleashed? Because that's what we're talking about. Notice this has been a pattern throughout the Biden regime's term, constantly usurping on constitutional norms, followed by litigation and court decisions. Well, let me throw it out there. If Biden performs some kind of systemic, so-called preemptive pardons, not with the kind of exceptional cases of Washington or Ford, which wasn't systemic, or Jimmy Carter, he needs to be impeached. I'm not excited about impeaching right now in the spectacle because the Republicans need to advance their agenda. They need to go on offense. But we're talking about the Constitution of the United States now. This would create a precedent of a kind that we've never seen in American history by any party or any president before. So it would depend on how many virtuous members are in the House of Representatives, because it's very close, on whether or not it would occur. Would he be convicted in the Senate? No, because you need a supermajority. But you need to make the case. You need to show that the body politic does not support this, even if certain members of the House and the Senate do. You need to push back against tyranny that is unleashed of this sort, in my view. And so the question is, would Congress do that? I don't know. It might depend on how severe this preemptive pardon is. And then finally...
See, that's what I feel. I wanted you to hear him say all that. Because basically what he said is that if we leave it up to Congress, nothing's going to get done. With the way the Constitution is written, and that you need 2/3 to do this and this, it's too close. The vote is too close. It's too narrow. Which leaves the only thing that you can do is prosecution. See, they have put themselves into a corner where you have to prosecute because the Congress can't or won't do anything. But I think Trump understands Biden is probably going to insulate himself. Biden is probably going to go ahead and, give himself a pardon, give his wife, his brother, a couple of those people pardons. But at that point, remember, they can't take the Fifth Amendment when they're being spoken to. If you take the Fifth Amendment when you're being spoken to or questioned and you lie, then you can't get that pardon. You're going to go to jail. Which means Hunter is probably the first person they're going to bring in. Because Hunter now has his pardon. So now, come on in, let me talk to you, bro. Bring your attorneys, I don't care. Here's where we go. What Mark hasn't said is something you need to remember. I'm going to tell you, let's see what he finishes in this one segment. I'm going to tell you what you need to remember.
The word, I want to repeat what I said on last evening's show. No pardon for Donald Trump from Joe Biden. He would do that to give cover to all the things that he's doing, pardoning his son, which is really a pardon for himself, and other people that he's going to pardon. He's going to say, see, I pardoned Donald Trump. Donald Trump didn't commit any crimes. I don't care what the hell they said in Manhattan. A Soviet-style show trial is not legitimate. That judge isn't legitimate, the prosecution isn't legitimate, the jury isn't legitimate. That was a Potemkin courtroom, a pretend courtroom with a pretend prosecutor, pretend judge, and pretend laws. That's what it was, period. He doesn't need any pardon from Joe Biden, who would use it in order to defend everything he's doing. That's why people in his own party are saying, pardon Donald Trump. It's not because they like pardon Trump, because they're trying to cover for Biden. And by the way, you hear a chorus of these Democrats also telling him, pardon more people, pardon more people, pardon more people.
Okay, so you understand now what's going on, how they're trying to get him to pardon Trump so they could use it as a cudgel and a feather in their cap and say, see, we were magnanimous, we did this. And Trump's like, no, I don't need it. I don't need your help. You guys need help. And see, the media completely is missing everything that's happening. In my show earlier today, I played something on CNN where the guy who was doing the poll said, and I quote, well, I should make sure, I can't say I quote because I don't remember exact words. No, I do. Donald Trump is the guy who says what he's going to do, and then he does it. And they were surprised. that the man says what he's going to do and then does it. And so while they're talking about he's going after his political opponents, keep that statement in mind. That statement that he said was, Donald Trump says what he's going to do, and then he does it. What did Donald Trump say he was going to do? I'm not talking about all the campaign promises. I'm talking about the one thing having to do with this. Donald Trump said he is going to obliterate the deep state. They're completely missing it. You don't care about Biden. Biden's not the deep state. See, that's why they're all fixed about, is he going to go after his political opponent? No, he's meaningless. I don't need to go after Biden. He's a puppet. That's where everybody's missing it. And I loved when the guy in CNN said it today. And the guy in CNN said he's the guy who does what he says he's going to do. And I just sat back and I was watching the chat and I'm like, so what does this man say he's going to do? What did he state over and over that he was going to do? I am going to obliterate the deep state. I don't care about Joe Biden. He's useless to me. Pardon yourself, I don't care. You people who we can see, Jill, Ashley, Joe Biden's brother, Joe, Hunter, nah, you're visual. All of us can see you. We want those people back there. Those people back there. Oh yeah, those people in the shadows who've been here for decades, who are pulling all the strings. You see, here's the problem with that. Biden can't pardon those people because he can't reveal who they are. There is no possible way that these people back there want people to know what they've been doing. That's what makes them dangerous. That's what makes them, Trump has to watch his step. Because in order to be in the deep state, no one has to know you're in the deep state. Sort of like being in the mob. No, there's no such thing as a mafia. If he is truly going to obliterate the deep state, he needs to move the fluff out the way. Joe, go away. Jill Biden, I don't care. We can laugh at Notre Dame Cathedral. Go away. I need those people that nobody sees. The ones who are hiding in the tall grass. Those are the people who have hurt America. Those are the people. If you know the person, they're not the deep state. Just think about that for a second. Everybody who's in the public, John Bolton, Bill Gates, if we know who you are, you're not the ones we need to get out. We're talking stuff up here. These people ain't going to take too kindly from him pushing these people out the way so he can get to the back and see who's back there. Seriously, who's underneath the desk back there? That's the people he needs to go after. And all your pardons, and again, this is just Barry talking. You're never going to pardon these people. All the people you pardon are just surface level people. You are never going to say, I'm going to pardon the guy or people who were involved in, taking out JFK or RFK or MLK. Oh no, you will never name them. Probably don't even know who they are. But in order for Trump to do what he said he's going to do, that he's going to obliterate the deep state, those are the targets. You guys get this at this point? You think I'm crazy, probably. Like, Barry, what do you mean? Yeah, these people ain't deep state. They're visible to you. The spooks in the back are the deep state. Who's telling Biden what to do? Who told Obama what to do? Who told Hillary what to do? Who's back there? $2 trillion doesn't disappear without a whole lot of people being involved who you can't see right now. You don't take out someone driving in a convertible in Dallas and nothing happening without somebody going, Man, there's some... What the heck just happened? Seriously? You're telling me this guy up there did all this? Yeah? Okay. You're telling me in June of 1968, RFK. Understand how deep this rot goes? You know, if one day I come here and I can't get on, you know that I'm somewhere over the target. But as soon as I heard him say that, I will obliterate the deep state. I need to put that on here. I need to put a button here that says, let you hear that over and over and over again. Because if you can see it, they're not it. It ain't Nancy Pelosi. Who controls Nancy Pelosi? That's where the digging has to be. That's where the rats are like freaking out. Because you may see certain people meet their demise. Because when they say, don't you say a word, and if you got to go to jail, you got to go to jail. I don't want to go to jail. Oh, well, then you got the other choice. You take the dirt nap or you go to jail. That's it. No, there's no door number 3. Go to jail or dirt nap. Yeah. I have known this for most of my life. The ones who you know they are, they're just puppets. Bingo. Bingo. You sit back and watch the media and you watch them squirm and scream and you're like, man, ain't you? You smell potatoes. And now you got a guy coming in who has made it his pledge, I'm taking y'all out. You give out whatever pardons you want because I know the people you give the pardons to aren't the ones I'm going after. Follow them all, get all the Democrats, Republicans, everybody who has enriched themselves after entering into office. Absolutely. I remember the first time he said it, gave me chills. Me too. And I started praying harder for him. President Trump is on a mission. That is the mission to save this country, not just to win an election. Those people in the shadows, we need to extricate them. Who's doing all of this? Who's been doing it for decades? You know, 1963 was 51 years ago, right? No, 61 years ago. Yeah, 61 years ago. Those people who were pulling strings back then are probably not around anymore, so they just got replaced by other ghosts. Who's replacing them? Who is building the ranks for these ghosts? What's the scenario? How is that done? How do they just keep America under control? Obviously, financially, but who is it? Yeah, we got to find it. Money is their master, and NATO is the alliance. Yeah, someone back there, a total cleansing of the system. That's what I'm telling you guys. The dirt nap or go to jail. I'm glad I finished my coffee ice cream because I would have spit it. You gotta have no choices. I mean, I hope it's making sense to you now. If the man said that's what his objective is, after everything they've done to him, he realizes all you people are just puppets. I need to find out who's back there. And just keep that in the back of your mind now, as you're seeing all this begin to play out, and you're screaming about pardons and this and that and everything. I'm like, you don't have to give these people pardons. Nobody knows who the hell they are. But we will.
You wrote a piece called Pardon Envy. This idea of a preemptive pardon, I mean, we know it's been used. We can all do the research. It was used once pretty much by Washington in a very unusual situation. It was used by Ford in a very unusual situation. It was used by Carter in an unusual situation. But that's pretty much about it. So preemptive pardons for your political friends or your political allies or people like this, and then for his people, that is Biden's staff, and say, we ought to also give one to Trump. You smell a rat here, don't you?
I do. First of all, a pardon for Trump would be the most hostile pardon ever issued. Trump doesn't need a pardon. I mean, the cases against him have collapsed. And even though they weren't dismissed with prejudice, it's extremely unlikely that they could ever be resuscitated. And so to give him a pardon for effectively dead federal cases would be to send this message that he's still at risk. It would fulfill the narrative. But the fact is, he's not at risk in those cases. It wouldn't have any impact on the state cases where he still has some ongoing litigation. But those cases are also pretty dubious legally and are not doing that well.
So what is this? All of a sudden, they're leaking it to the media, that they're looking at these preemptions and they start to give us names, Liz Cheney, this. And I'm thinking to myself, you're going to hand out pardons like lollipops about crimes that haven't been charged or even been discussed? And your theory about this is, yeah, they're going to do some of this, if not too much of this, because they were waving around the flag of democracy, and Donald Trump's not a threat to democracy. And you make your point.
Well, I think that's part of the dilemma for many Democrats. They've spent the last year saying this will be our last election. Democracy is about to collapse. And Trump is going to literally round up people and send them into camps. And you have people on MSNBC, on various news channels saying, we'll be on the list. Well, that's going to be rather embarrassing if it doesn't happen. If democracy doesn't die, you're in a real dilemma with many of your viewers. Now, the best way to keep that narrative alive is to get some massive sweeping pardon so that you could say, well, fortunately, Joe Biden issued what you can call a white knight pardon. You know, he came down and protected whole categories of people. And some of these individuals are calling for literally thousands of pardons by category.
So understand what he just said, because he just spelled something out very quickly, very intelligently. The media, as you know, many of you know, is nothing more than an extension of the Democrat Party, i.e. extension of the deep state. Their entire charge in life is to basically carry the water and say whatever needs to be said, to keep the idiots who watch their stuff in the dark and understanding that the boogeyman is Donald Trump. But then when there's no more boogeyman to be had, they're screwed. That's what I've been telling you. Yesterday when I said it yesterday, I'm like, when he said, how are you going to treat the people who didn't vote for you? I'm going to treat them the same way that my MAGA supporters get treated. And what I mean by that, and the success is my retribution, is that the people on the other side are going to enjoy the exact same success. Whether you voted for me or not, you're going to get some. Whether you voted for me or not, you're not going to pay taxes on tips. You're not going to pay taxes on overtime. You're not going to pay taxes on Social Security. It's going to wear you down by success. And so at this point, the media, as he just said, are freaking out because the message they've been giving out, number one, it didn't work in the election. Number two, you can't keep saying it because as things begin to happen, the people you're talking to are just going to start looking at your side eye and went, well, I'm looking at my paycheck stub, and I got more in my pocket now. Monsters Inc. ain't bad. It's a joke. It's a big guy in blue cuddling a baby. Oh, the entire charade begins to fall. And then when those puppets are no longer useful, that's when they're going to have to move and figure out something else. At this point, seeing the numbers in the mainstream media, it's not long before we start seeing people get fired and restructured of the networks and things of this nature because they no longer have any force. They have no relevance. So at this point, giving them pardons just to be fun because they're saving themselves from the gulags, when there's no gulags, you look stupid, or rather, more stupid.
Not even by name. And the whole idea is to keep that narrative alive, that if it had not been for the white knight pardons, we would have all been laid waste by someone that one of them called a maniac coming into office. So it's clear that there's a political value to this. The harm it would do is considerable, as you've noticed, Mark, as you mentioned. This would not be in any way in line with previous pardons. It's the same way that the effort to make the Hunter Biden pardon look ethical was really laughable. I mean, the fact is you've got a couple of people who actually made up pardons for presidential children that never occurred in order to say that there's nothing to see here. Well, there's a lot to see here. The closest you could come to in the Hunter Biden pardon is where they seem to have taken some of the language, which is the Nixon pardon. But Ford wasn't implicated in Nixon's wrongdoing.
That's huge. Again, it's so long ago, many people don't understand that. Ford pardoned Nixon, but Ford wasn't part of Watergate. So it wasn't like he was doing it to save his own butt. Hey, I just don't want to prosecute a former president. I'm not involved. Okay, that's not how it is right now. Dementia Joe is actually involved. There's no getting away from that. So he's in a whole different ball game here than Gerald Ford was. Completely different.
Joe Biden is. That is, he just gave a pardon for anything that occurred in a 10-year period, which, by the way, is twice as long as the Nixon pardon. And that goes all the way back to when he was vice president. So that period is quite considerable, and it covers everything from money laundering to murder. And in that broad scope just happened to be crimes associated with the influence peddling scandal, where many believe that the president himself lied repeatedly to the public and did have involvement.
What are the limits to this? If you start handing out preemptive pardons like lollipops, what are the limits to this with respect to a president doing this sort of thing, potentially even for himself?
Well, I think, Mark.
Okay, so pay attention to, there's only like 70 seconds left here. Listen to what Jonathan Turley says and how he describes the problem these people who take these pardons are going to have. It's very important.
You're right about that. It'll be replicated. If you turn pardons into a type of party favor that you just hand out, they become something of a status symbol. You know, the only people I think who would be more crestfallen for not being prosecuted are those who would not be pardoned. You really have to be on that list if you're going to be anyone in Washington, D.C. So you can have presidents, for example, give themselves self-pardons at the end of every term to make sure they're not pursued, to hand out pardons to all their associates. And that's not going to be good for the country. We have a legal system that protects the rights of those accused. If there is a basis for criminal charges, most of the public would like to see those charges pursued. But there's no evidence at all that Donald Trump is going to be frog marching thousands of people into camps in a campaign of revenge. But that's not the point. The point is to pardon as many people as possible so you could say, you know, we were right all along. Fortunately, Biden prevented him from a campaign of vengeance.
And of course, as you've pointed out and some other people have pointed out, you're still subject to congressional hearings and the potential crimes depending on how you behave during those hearings, correct?
That's right. And so this doesn't give the protection that many of these people may assume. You know, if they get pulled in front of Congress, they may have trouble actually invoking the Fifth because they're not at risk. But at the end of the day, if you give false statements to either a federal investigator or to Congress, you could be subject to a new criminal charge outside the scope of any prior pardon.
And that's where it all falls apart. Because you're not going to know who needs a pardon, depending on what the question is that a good prosecutor, a good precision prosecutor can begin digging and asking questions. And you can't lie. So when they start talking to Hunter and said, okay, Hunter, we've got this piece of paper here, and it says blah, 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 blah. And you can see at this point, if you don't know everything about what they're asking, you don't know who to pardon. And so there's going to be some people left out there in the cold who are in big, big, deep trouble. Like I said, don't look at the obvious ones. It's the ones they don't cover. They forget to cover. The people back there, that's who we want. And I saw something interesting that Elon Musk posted. And when you read this, you're going to say, that's intentional. Makes you pissed off. The federal government's computers and software are in such bad shape that they often can't verify that payments are not fraud, waste, or abuse. Wait a second. Think about that. You're telling me that the federal government's computers and software are so old and out of date, they can't determine whether it's a fraudulent charge or invoice. I mean, I got a text message from our bank who says that a charge was attempted, and did you guys do it? And our government doesn't even have that. That's why the government can't pass basic audits. They often literally don't know where your tax dollars went. That's intentional. It's insane, but it's intentional. My preferred title in a new administration is Volunteer IT Consultant. I need to fix the IT infrastructure in order to make government work. This is a grind and hardly glorious, but we can't make government efficient and fix the deficit if the computers don't work. Watch them try to fight that. See, that's not by accident. I'm sure there have been a lot of smart people who go, hey man, the computer system ain't working. We don't even know where these payments are going. Shut up. Really? You're telling me now in 2024, we just are now finding out that the systems and the hardware are insufficient to actually run a small t-shirt business. A t-shirt business on the corner of 5th and Elm has better software than the federal government. But I bet you they got good software where it comes to finding out what your income tax is. I bet that works really well. But you're telling me that we don't even know, literally, they often literally don't know where your tax dollars went. Man, the rot is so freaking bad. It goes so deep. They've been stealing from us for decades. And nobody even wanted to look. A lot of smart people probably were in there working, probably had second jobs and go, man, my laptop's got better security than this. And we're passing trillions through it? It's a wonder we're not Tinder. A lot of contracts that were expired 5 or 10 years or more. Yeah, it's crazy. Oh my God, it's just it's crazy. Somebody had put up a post and I missed it to click the button, and the question was, can Trump fix all this in 4 years? No, I don't believe he can. I don't think Trump can fix all of this stuff in 4 years. That's why it's got to be set up over a period of time where we can get everything in place and have the right leaders on the bench. I mentioned bench quite a bit because this is the problem. We don't even know. We don't know what we don't know. And there's people, maybe this is why they don't come to the office. Imagine that, the entire building, ain't nobody here. Oh, we can do whatever we want. No one's ever going to see this. No one's ever going to know. We are in big, big trouble, and Trump's the guy to begin it. We're going to need somebody else to come in and fix it. Yeah, it is a monumental task. Absolutely. We are being fleeced and our tray lighted. Absolutely. Once Elon gets in, they'll know how much toilet paper you use in a day. Oh, man, this is going to be. Now you know why they're fighting. Now you know why certain people over the course of history have been taken out. I think the first thing he can do, not first, but I really hope the one thing he can do is find a way to stop income tax. If we can stop income tax, a lot of what they do falls apart. I don't know how he can get it done. I'm pretty sure the tariff thing has something to do with it, which is why they're freaking out about tariffs. Oh, he's just going to make the guy on welfare pay a little bit more for his biscuit. Shut up. We got to stop income tax. You need to keep the money that you make, period. We got to find a way to get things back to where they used to be when there was no income tax. People say, oh, you can't do it. Sure you can. You do it in your own house. You balance your books. You don't run around just writing checks that you can't cover. This country needs to get... The deficit's incredibly stupid. I've never even understood it. How we just continue to just borrow money from who? China? So we can't go to war with China. Maybe that's our biggest protection, because if China blew it up, they never get paid back. Maybe that's why they keep borrowing money from China. Oh, they could never fight us, because if they blew stuff up, they never get their money back. It doesn't make any sense to me. All right, so let me go ahead and make sure you guys do this. If you'd like to join us on our X group, it's free. Just go to fanfareshop.org/group and you can join our private X group, and it's free. And if you'd like to win a hoodie, you got to enter to win. You can't win if you don't enter. Go to fanfareshop.org to enter to win. So speaking of which, I need to get my act together and go in here, and we got to give away 3 hoodies. So let me go ahead and put that up. I got the drum roll thing here, and let's go ahead, move this over here, and all right, here we go. We're going to give away 3 hoodies. Where's my sheet there? All right, bear with me. Just getting this all set up because it's a different window. And here we go. Move this over here. And now we are set to give away 3 hoodies. So boom, do this. Let me go ahead and get down to the drum roll Tommy did for us. And let's go ahead. Let's randomly pick one winner. Drum roll, please. And bam. Marsha R. Owens. Marsha R. Owens, you have won a hoodie. Marsha R. Owens. Let's go ahead and pick one more. And drum roll, we got to make it. And here we go. Boom. Lydia Wyatt. Lydia Wyatt, you have won another hoodie. We got one more to go. Pick another winner. Go here. And let's go ahead and do the drum roll. And boom. Daphne Lindsay. Wow, was that 3 ladies? 3 ladies tonight. 3 ladies have won hoodies. Congratulations. Look for an email from Ashley where she's going to find out what's your size and your mailing address so we can get that stuff out to you. Thank you very, very, very much for playing. Now let me go ahead and talk to you guys about the Super Chats, if there are any in here. Mark of Reality says, since we have a couple tech billionaires looking into government efficiency, I wonder how many high-level government jobs will be replaced by AI. Probably. They'll fight them now. See, that's the other thing. They will fight all kinds of change. Truth be told, find out who the person is in the administration who calls every media outlet and gives out the talking points. Would love to know who that is. Exactly. 5150 Prepper. Man, I love your handle. 5150 Prepper. Dan, your wife, Dana, wants me, Barry, to tell you nice to her liberal sister while she stays with you for Christmas. I don't know what that means. I'm going to stay out of that. Lynn Morrison, January 20th can't come fast enough. Gotta believe that's true. Hey Donna, how are you? I often wonder if it's possible for me to file charges against Biden personally for the tears, pain, and suffering he causes here in Asheville every time he sends money to Ukraine. I don't think you can sue the president. I think that's what the whole immunity thing is. So, but you can sue the federal government. You can sue FEMA. So yeah, I would go ahead and talk to Lori about that. Mama Tracy, there are 335 million people in the U.S. If the government split the $200 billion they gave Ukraine, we would each have, I don't know if that math is right though. You might want to check that. Fumi Drummer, if Rush Limbaugh was a video host instead of a legacy radio host, he'd be Barry Cunningham doing the same thing without the commercials and hourly news breaks. Thank you. Let me go here and talk to GD Bitley. The big guy is Obama. Think about it. Biden isn't smart enough, backed up, no payment if not fired. I think we're going to have to dig and find out. Just another knucklehead. Tip jar, thanks for the hard work. Thank you very much. Greg Barth, thank you. Hey, Joy. Just testing here. It wouldn't let me send you a super chat earlier. Sometimes the guys upstairs don't like things. Benedetto Salermo. Barry belongs in Trump's hitman. You're a patriot. I'd love that. That would be fun. Just let us ask some questions. That's all I would need. Just let me ask some questions. Greg Barth again. Thank you. Jeremiah Kerr, how are you? Sorry, was broccoli also known as Dr. Heimendeiger suggest? Huh? Jeremiah again. MAGA rascal over on other X format suggests we be called the Berry Brigade. Okay, so you're MAGA rascal. Gotcha. I'll look you up. Peter Cruz, thank you very much. Ronald Zimmerman, Barry, you're the best in giving us the news. You and your family have a Merry Christmas. Everybody have a very Merry Christmas. Love that. Gonna say that here. Dave the Patriot. Put me down for Jersey 01 fanfare fanatic. Save the kids. I didn't even get into the kids. I didn't even go into the kids. That's a whole other angle. Everything else we've been talking about, all the stuff, the money, the kids. The kids. Party dog, thank you. Yeah, that's really scary when you think about that. Demon of Cybertron, get ready to give them that southpaw in 2026. Yeah, the kids, man. Think about that. Mama Tracy, don't jail Joe. Investigate how much money especially has stolen in the last 4 years and take every dime he and Hunter has. And Pelosi, too. That's what I believe. Hurt these people where it counts. They're not going to go to jail. Losing money would be worse to them. Mark of Reality, removing Trump the Kennedy way would be their biggest mistake at this point. Vance will fulfill 100% of the DJT agenda and then have fun with it. And I think every single one of us would be right behind him, but I don't even want to think about that. Big Cat says, thank you for shows today, Barry. Merry Mega Christmas. Talmadge Coates, thank you very much. Ruth P. If only Julian Assange were supported when we needed our support, I believe none of this BS would have made it so far as it has. I'm down with that. Diana Torian. I absolutely love Mark Levin. I've been watching him for many, many years. He's a truth teller. Yes, he is. And he's so intelligent. He is. Fume Drummer, how does getting a pardon force someone to cooperate in an investigation? The right to remain silent doesn't go away. Oh, yes, it does. See, the right to remain silent is based upon your Fifth Amendment. You can't incriminate yourself. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can or will be used against you in a court of law. You no longer have that worry. There's nothing that you can say at this point that can be used against you in a court of law. So you don't have the right to remain silent. I love your comment. That's specifically what their problems will be. You're fine. You don't get a right to remain silent. Erwin Ow. I hope you understand the difference there, because that's a big thing. Lydia Mike Stone, for the Bibles, I will make sure to let Ashley know and get that over to her. Absolutely. Lydia Laurasia says, I haven't received my winning hoodie yet. Let's go ahead and basically, can somebody give her the email, and then Ashley can get a hold of her. Lady Knight, I am Tanya Nguyen. Hello. Very nice. Thank you. Eric Parks, Barry, the national debt is what other countries owe us. What? Not what we owe China. National debt? No. It's what we owe. No, you get that backwards. The national debt is what we owe. We're indebted. That's what it means. Michelle in Michigan says, I became a monthly donor on Rumble, but I'm bummed you're only able to respond to comments on YouTube. I know. They don't have the integration that YouTube has. And Mark of Reality, since we have a couple tech billion, that's from before. All right, so that's everybody. We're up to date. I really, the software, Rumble is a new platform. It's getting there. but it doesn't have the ability to do some of the stuff that we can do here on YouTube. In fact, tonight I had to stream this on X and YouTube. I couldn't stream it on Rumble. There was something down with their servers, so I couldn't do it. So anyway, thank you very, very much. Hoodie winners, thank you. Laura, if you didn't get your hoodie yet, go ahead and hit up Ashley, and I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Thanks for watching both shows. Wait a second. Wait. Did I forget something? Hold on. This is SV. He always tells me if I forgot something. Let me just make sure. Never mind, you addressed it. I sent her your email. Okay, perfect. All right, talk to you guys tomorrow. I'm going to get something to eat.